our group will be ready for sure. We get back home and we've had some rest, but like Kevin said, I mean, we've played a lot of hockey here, and but our group will, we're getting healthy, and we're getting some people back. We've got our 4 lines going here, and besides Broads, we're pretty healthy. So we're not worried at all.
So that's after a 6-4 loss last night to the Vegas Golden Knights. Boys, I've got something potentially fun here for you, a filter that we can run this year's Wild team through. But what is I want to know what's Judd's level of panic after sort of a
0.
shaky. Okay.
0.
It's 0. They didn't play. They didn't play a great game against the Kings Saturday. I felt like the first period was a little bit sloppy Sunday, but it's 0. This is a different team. They stay in games. You don't see the, oh boy, here we go again thing. Yeah, no. I mean, these, as Dex and I have discussed extensively, these type of slumps are going to happen. The key is that they're not long. So, like, the problem is what? Oh, it's 6 games now. You haven't won in 6 games. That's the problem, right? It's 0. I'm not concerned. I'm just not. Are
Dex,
you, Declan?
Are you a 0?
I'm like a 1. I'm not going to say a 0.
Oh, yeah, play it.
There's definitely a little pent up. You lost back-to-back games, but I mean, you lost to Vegas, who's now getting hot and are going to be one of the better teams in the West. You should have beat the Kings. Like, you need to beat the Kings. But in general, it's a 1. If Brodin's injury lingers longer, then I do have some causes for concern, because I think you're starting to see just how integral and important he is to this team. I truly think he's actually been the MVP of this team this season so far. So if he's out long term, then I have concerns. But no, not much. Not much.
Just a little.
If Brodin's out, though, Declan is off the bandwagon.
Yep.
The Hockey Whisperer is like a 2.
Okay.
He's like a 2 right now, just because.
How am I at a 0?
Why are you the most tame?
How am I the lowest?
Well, I mean, 2 isn't. It's not.
It's more than a 0.
But just saying, like, we're not even halfway through December yet, and so there's so much story to be told here. And sometimes the Wild will tell you one story for 2 months and then tell you another story. It does feel like a different team, different leadership all around. But I want to bring this to your guys' attention here. So the Hockey Whisperer is definitely thinking about hoisting a cup here, okay? He's not planning the parade route yet like the Eagles were in the Super Bowl 10 years ago, and Bill Belichick got a hold of the Eagles' planned parade route and read it to his team. Okay, the Hockey Whisperer doesn't want to give whiteboard material to the rest of the NHL. But there's a great article. It's 8 years old, but I think the principles still apply here. The Anatomy of a Stanley Cup Champion from Bleacher Report in 2013. And some of the examples they give here are obviously a little dated. Like, they're given examples of like the Blackhawks first of 3 Stanley Cups back, 12 years ago. I want to go through what they say are the 5 qualities of a Stanley Cup champion and get your guys' thoughts, Judd's Hockey Show, on whether the Wild check these boxes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just go through here. We'll start with number 1, and I'll read you a little bit from the write-ups here too, because there's actually a lot of research in this article. Number 1, and these aren't like in order. I think these are all 5 like equally weighted. But here's the first one: 4 quality forward lines with players who fill different roles. Teams need a lot of depth at forward to win the Stanley Cup. Each year we see clubs with a great top 6 that has some elite scorers, but they don't win the cup because the 3rd and 4th lines don't contribute offensively or play a physical game or what have you. In fact, since the start of the 1993-94 season, so a 20-year sample at the time of this writing, only 2 Art Ross Trophy winners, which is the league's leading scorer, have won the cup in the same season. Martin St. Louis with Tampa Bay in 2004, and then Malkin with Pittsburgh in 2009. So having 4 good lines that fill the necessary roles, timely scoring, grit, leadership, defense, is one common denominator of most, if not all, Stanley Cup champions. You can't just have a top-heavy top 6.
Mm-hmm.
Do the Wild check? A, do you agree? And then B, do the Wild check that box?
Oh, I agree completely, and yes, they do. just example, last night, their fourth line, their best line.
Yeah.
The Sturm line was great. And yes, that is so. I think where this has changed is 8 years back. I think you could have a top six that was fast.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a Stanley Cup competitive team, your third and fourth lines were productive and good. I don't know that they were as fast. I think now you need 4 fast lines, and the Wild has 4 lines of guys who can basically flat out skate. And so, yes, I love that because, and we talked about this as the playoffs began last spring. Time and space in the playoffs is taken away. Like the Kaprizovs of the world don't have the time and space that they do in, for instance, March or December. And so other lines have to make up for and compensate for the fact that your opponent is going to focus on a line that has a guy like Kirill Kaprizov. So, yes, I think it's 1,000% right. And I think for the first time, I would say in forever, I feel comfortable with all 4 Wild lines. All 4. I don't think I've ever felt comfortable with all 4 lines. I do now.
Yeah, I mean, they have 4 lines that can roll, and they all are pretty much, for the most part, distributed pretty evenly. Like the 4 that's played the most this season is Kirill at 19 minutes, and then the regular fourth line guys like Brandon Duhaime are still playing like 11 minutes. So it's not like you have 4 lines, your fourth line back in the day that only goes out there for 7 to 9 minutes a night. Like you have 4 lines that are rolling this year. Depth-wise, I think it's there. I think maybe the missing piece, and as we've been talking about for the last 3 years, do you have a legitimate top line center? And you'd have to go add that. Maybe that's Rossi. Maybe that's Matthew Boldy, who can give you more spark from your forward group. But that's maybe the question mark I have on the offense. But in terms of the depth mark is checked 100%.
Interesting. Okay, so check.
That's the good
All right,
news.
Check.
Anatomy of a Stanley Cup champion. Number 2. A number 1 defenseman with the ability to shut down the opposing team's top scorers. Since the Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1994, with number 1 defenseman Brian Leetch winning the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP, only 2 teams have won a championship without a star number 1 defenseman. Again, this is 8 years ago, but the 96 Avalanche and the 06 Hurricanes. So, and then they go on to list, a bunch of, they list a bunch of the teams that have won cups, and the number 1 star defenseman, Chris Pronger, Nicholas Lidstrom, Duncan Keith, Drew Doughty, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, all studs. Can I give this a half check?
Okay.
Because playoff-wise,
non-committal.
oh, yeah, big time. So Spurgeon is really, really good, but he's so small. And in the playoffs, that's probably a bigger problem than right now. Brodin is fantastic, and he's strong, and he can skate like the wind. He's fantastic, but he's not that dominant big presence like the list of guys that you just went through. Like Doughty's not huge, but like Scotty Stevens was enormous, and like he could kick your butt from here to the next team. So I would give it a half check because I'm not sold completely on that they do have that guy. I would probably right now say Brodin is as close as you could possibly get, but he still doesn't qualify completely in the physical nature of what we're talking about. In his heyday, Doughty was a complete stud. Like, he was absolutely fantastic. I would like to give this a half check, Declan.
I mean, just look at the past teams that have won Stanley Cups recently, like Victor Hedman for Tampa Bay, like legitimately one of the best defensemen in the NHL. Stud.
It's a stud.
The Blues, they didn't ever really had a star defenseman. Petrangelo's a nice player. I wouldn't call him a star.
He's pretty damn.
But he's pretty damn good.
He's pretty close to being a star.
The Capitals have John Carlson. They have plenty of, like, the last Stanley Cup winners have had star defensemen. I think Jonas Brodin and guys like Matt Dumba and the collection of them do enough that their defense does enough to shut down opponents' top lines. So Judd says it's a half a check. I actually give it a full check. I think they do have the defensive depth.
So you're saying you're giving it a check because of depth more than you are like top end.
I want
Correct.
that. Yeah, I
Correct.
can't do that.
That is correct.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Okay.
It's interesting. I mean, Goligoski's been pretty good this season, hasn't he? Too. It's like
He's been fantastic, but he's not that guy.
When everyone's healthy, it is It is. I mean, it's kind of like a lineup. The Twins had a lot of these lineups in the early 2000s where it's like, oh, they're pretty good 1 through 9, but there's not like the one thumper or a pitching staff or whatever of like a bunch of really good number twos. Who's your ace defenseman?
Yeah.
So okay,
and who's going to shut down that guy?
So we'll kind of give it. Let's give it like a check and 3/4, a check and a half.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm just not totally comfortable.
Let's just go half check.
Or a
I'm
half
not totally
check.
comfortable
We'll
doing
go half
this, okay?
check. Executive decision. Half check.
I'm just not going to be all. I'm not all in. I can't be all in. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Here's the third one of 5. This is Anatomy of a Stanley Cup winner. Bleacher Report. A reliable goaltender with mental toughness, and the write-up is an elite or hot goaltender isn't necessarily required to win the cup. A team just needs a confident netminder who has the mental toughness to overcome mistakes and make important saves in the third periods of games. Chris Osgood is a great example of this type of goaltender. He won 3 Stanley Cups, 2 as a starter with the Red Wings, even though he wasn't one of the top 3 goaltenders in the league throughout his career. Now, I will say, in fairness, like especially because he won 2 of those cups were in like the mid-90s heyday of the Red Wings. Those rosters were so loaded. I mean, it's kind of like, all right, guy, just if you go like 6 innings and give up 3 runs, like we'll be fine. We don't need 8 innings.
Right.
So it depends on how loaded the rest of your roster is. But they do use Osgood as an example of, okay, he's not elite and you can still win a cup. Do you guys agree and do the Wild check that box?
Boy, this position is so fickle that it's hard to say because things can go sideways quickly. Or if the guy does get hot, he can basically carry you through a few rounds. But for the most part, I do agree. I'm sorry. In good conscience, I can't check that box. I'd love to. And Talbot shows spurts of things. And I actually do like him. I don't love him. I like him. But that's a tough box to check because here's what we don't know. Can the Wild, when we get to the spring, and they sort of did this against the Golden Knights last spring, but didn't fulfill it and lost in 7 games. Can the Wild play the type of game necessary to win in the playoffs? And I'll give you an example of a game that they recently played, which qualifies, but the playoffs are different. The Edmonton game last week, that is a team that has firepower. Draisaitl, McDavid. Now, they don't qualify for box 1 because they're not deep, but their top guys are brilliant. The Wild did a fantastic job in that game, in their barn, as we like to say, us hockey guys, of keeping them towards the outside. And Talbot saw a ton of shots from the outside, which is ideal. Can you do that if you're playing in the playoffs? I don't know. And if there's pressure in front and shots from the slot, that gets tougher. I'm sorry, Declan, I cannot check this box.
He can check the box that he's mentally capable. He's 100% mentally capable. Devan Dubnyk was not. Devan Dubnyk was not mentally capable of being that goaltender. Cam Talbot's already started 30 games in the playoffs. He's won 15 of them. He's at least 1 starts. He's posted 6 shutouts. He's proven that he can steal you a game or 2. He posted 2 shutouts in the series against the Knights last year when the Wild played Vegas in the postseason. I think he has the credibility and the capability to get hot and carry you. Is he Andrei Vasilevsky? Is he
and it's 4 rounds.
Marc-Andre Fleury? Those guys who and that helped them get there. It kind of reminds me of, I'll use a cross-sport. It's like when Joe Flacco led the Ravens to a Super Bowl, right? Like, was Joe Flacco even considered a top 10 quarterback at the time? No, but in the postseason, he kind of reached a new level, and he was able to have the things around him to help his team get to a Super Bowl and obviously win one. I think the parallels there to Cam Talbot are pretty similar. But to Judd's point, I need to see it over 4 rounds, so I can't check it. But I do think he's mentally there. I do think he's mentally there.
4 rounds is so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is sort of the Minnesota sports mental block that we sometimes get after 30 plus years of no major men's championships. Right. We think about what will it take to get into the playoffs and win a round, but it's a 2-month playoff marathon in the NHL, just like in the NFL. They can get to the playoffs. The Vikings can get, if they go 8-9 or 9-8, win this tiebreaker, and maybe if they could win a road playoff game. It's like, well, yeah, but can they win 4 consecutive playoff games against the best teams in the NFL? So Okay, so we'll leave the goalie box unchecked. Are there
Sorry,
any
Cam.
obvious candidates to be traded for that would be a checking of this box
Fleury
between now and then?
Fleury possibly could help, but here's the problem there is I don't think the Wild's going to make multiple trades for like potentially a center, a goaltender. And I think if Guerin has his druthers, it would probably be a center that he would pursue. So there are candidates. I don't think, but he's not going to mortgage everything for this run. Now, I do think that he will make a significant trade because, in my opinion, what he's going to see is the Wild has a 1-year window of potential here. Like, you can capitalize here. The next 3 years after this are financially going to drag you down a bit, and adding guys is probably going to be impossible. So I do think that there is an open opportunity here, but I don't think he's going to make multiple trades for guys. And if I was to handicap it right now, I would say center is well above goaltender because they do like Cam Talbot, Declan.
Yeah. Yeah, Fleury would be fun. Like, that'd be an awesome pick. In fact, I would peg that Edmonton's going to make a serious push for him because they need goaltending bad, and Chicago's a dump. But no, I don't see. I can see them adding a backup goalie if they don't believe Capo's the guy. I think Capo's looked fine over the last few games, but they won't add another one to replace Talbot to be the true number one.
All right, boys. Anatomy of a Cup winner here. Number 4. And real quick, I want to shout out to, we're giving away a Justin Jefferson jersey. If you like the Vikings, you know, borderline playoff football team. We are giving away a Justin Jefferson jersey through the Score North app. Promo code. So open the Score North app. It's free. And you can go to Listener Rewards, and you can enter the promo code Justin for your chance to win. And you can enter 5 times this week, Monday through Friday. We'll have a new promo code every single day on the show and on Purple Daily. Anatomy of a Stanley Cup winner, number 4. A mixture of veterans and players chasing their first cup. Leadership doesn't show up on the stat sheet when you look at the box score after a game, but it's one of the most important parts of each successful playoff team. Guys who know how to handle the high-pressure moments are extremely valuable in the postseason, and then that hunger of guys like the Kaprizovs that are chasing their first cup. I'm trying to think of how many guys. I mean, Alex Goligoski has a Stanley Cup. I'm trying to think of other guys like veterans that can bring that level of expertise. Is it just him?
It might be now. Benino's gone.
Matz has
Ian
been
Cole's
to
gone.
one. I think Zuccarello got to one with the Rangers.
And they lost to the
career.
Kings.
Yep. And Benino's gone. Cole's gone.
Nope, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So Goligoski, come on down. You're the mentor here,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that you have to have a bunch of guys that have won the cup before. But veterans who've at least had deep playoff experience, and then a young core that's fighting to win its first Stanley Cup. Do you agree, and do you check the box?
So what's the exact
Words
qualification again? I should
Words.
say.
A mixture of. What are the words? Mixture of veterans and players chasing their first cups. You want that experience of deep playoff runs, and then you want hungry players chasing their first cup.
I'm totally checking the box of hungry players. It's a great group.
Yeah, the room's great.
So like it's going to be that's ideal. Foligno, Eck, all of that entire that group is great. So I think that they completely check that box. As far as the guys with experience, they're short there. But I think the more important thing is the mentality and the hunger to try and win. And so I would actually, although it comes up a little short on one part of it, I would check the box.
I'd check it too.
I'm pretty comfortable
I think that room is right. That room is correct. They did a lot of work to gut that room properly, and there's a big reason why Marcus Foligno and Matt Dumba have stepped up and become leaders for that team. Matt Dumba, when he came to the league 6 years ago, was, let's be honest, kind of an immature guy. And now he's elevated his game and taken himself more seriously, and you're seeing that how he carries himself. And the team loves him. I think young guys like Kirill Kaprizov and Fiala having the fire and having the ability that you notice them every night, and they're going to try and bust their asses off. Yeah, I do check this box. I do. I think the room is correct.
And you could also, there's always trades to be made for just like a veteran, third liner or whatever who's been there before,
Sure.
knows how to grow the playoff beard the right way. Like they're gonna make a trade of some kind, and so who knows? Maybe they check that box even further with this one.
Mm-hmm. I like
and
that
then
one.
the fifth box here, anatomy of a Stanley Cup champion. I don't know if we can check this one until we know more, but a little bit of good luck. And as the hockey whisperer would tell you, all right,
That's puck luck,
hockey
baby.
is a game of variance. There's a lot of hockey puck luck that goes into, because even the team that has the best record or the most points at the end of the regular season only generally has a 20 to 25% chance of actually winning the Stanley Cup, according to odds makers. So whether it's a puck bouncing your way, winning a draft lottery to get a Sidney Crosby, that's the example they give here, a role player performing at a level high above what he usually does, or a goalie standing on his head in almost every game, teams need a bit of luck to hoist the cup.
I'm going to check that box, and here's why. I'm going to check it right now.
Already?
Yes, and here's why I'm going to check that box. Because the variance is also created by what you bring. And by that, the Wild for a long time created 0 breaks. Everything was pulling teeth. Everything was a pain in the ass. Everything was excused by somebody else's fault. So we can't predict luck, but what we can do is predict, are you going to create breaks for yourself that are going to be fortuitous? And the answer is this team will do that. Now, is a puck going to go off a guy's breezer in the third OT of the 7th game of the second round? Perhaps. That's bad luck. But the greatest one of all time to show the reality of like this whole puck luck thing, okay? The Wild series that they lost to Josi and the Blues, where everybody was like, well, the Wild, look at all the Jake Allen stood on his head. That's a lot of bad luck, Jake Allen. Jake Allen didn't stand on his damn head. Jake Allen fielded
he stood there.
Shots from the blue line that I could have stopped.
He stood there.
That's got nothing to do with variance. That's got to do with lazy ass players not getting in front like Foligno does right now to get rebounds to score on. Okay, so we like to say, well, it's luck. It's not luck. You create a lot of your luck. There are certain things in this sport and all sports that are weird. Get that? But I'm going to check that box because this team is going to go a long way to create its own breaks. And you know what's not creating your own damn breaks? Game 6 here against the Dallas Stars a few years back when these jokers gave up 4 quick goals. And then they rallied furiously and said, oh, we came so close. It's like, no, you didn't. You were a lazy-ass bunch of players who basically, once the game was done, said, oh, we'll try now. So I think these guys actually will create their own luck.
I can't check this yet. It's just incomplete. It's not because it's a no, they're incapable of checking it. I just need to see more of it. I'll say this for the pros of it. The first dozen games when they overcame deficits in the second period and were able to, again, to Judd's point, create their own luck, that's a good sign. The problem with that is that formula is essentially unsustainable for winning over 82 games. You're going to lose. Last night, they were down a goal.
Absolutely.
They had the goalie pulled. They hit a post. Lady Luck's not on their side. I can't check that box yet. It's incomplete for me, so I can't do it. It's incomplete.
They're gonna need something specific. We'll give it a half check because I think I agree with Judd's point that it feels like they are dictating and driving the action more now than they were in the previous iteration of this team, and that's going to lead to they got a little lucky on this. Well, maybe they had an extra 6 chances that they wouldn't have generated, a few years ago. So let's give it a half check here. There's going to have to be at some point. Cam Talbot is going to have to pitch a couple shutouts in a series in which you're an underdog, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to have to go on the road in a game 7 and something fortunate, or maybe a lower seed knocks off a top seed and you get an easier matchup in a round than you otherwise would have. So you don't have to go through the strength of teams. So Those are
Whisperer.
things that we haven't seen yet.
Say it, Whisperer.
That crystal ball, he's looking into
Oh,
it.
yeah, Whisperer's got it.
That's right.
He never shows us the
Out in
crystal ball
Seattle.
either.
No, he shouldn't.
And not that he
I
has
don't want to
to.
see it.
You don't want to
I
see
wanna
the
see
Hockey
it.
Whisperer's
I
crystal
don't want to
balls.
see behind the curtain of what the Whisperer sees. No.
Phil's under his blanket at night, just
What?
looking at
Excuse
the
me?
crystal ball.
Yeah, he's a.
Oh my
the,
God.
the Hockey
No,
Whisperer is
that
big
was
into
so-
big into Dutch ovens. That's
That
right.
was so uncomfortable
Yes.
right there. That entire thing. Where did that go wrong? And I did not introduce that. That was not me.
So the five items here, according to the Bleacher Report Anatomy of a Stanley Cup Champion, we're giving them a check, 4 solid lines of depth, check, reliable goaltender. Well, let's go through the first sure checks.
Okay.
4 solid lines, check. Mix of veterans and hungry young players chasing their first cup, check.
Yep.
Half check for a number 1 defenseman, because we love the depth of the defenseman,
Right.
but we're not sure if there's like, a Chris
That
Pronger in
playoff
there or
guy.
somebody.
Yeah, exactly right.
A Nicholas Lidstrom.
There's not one of those.
We're giving them a half check on the luck, because we know that they can generate their own luck more than maybe before. And we're giving them an incomplete on reliable goalie until we see more from Cam Talbot. But we'll see in a couple months. Maybe we feel differently if he goes on a hot streak.
Yeah, 4 rounds is just a lot to ask.
Yeah, man.
It's aggressive. So
I will
there you
say
go.
I have a family vacation in Tampa Bay in the middle of June. So if the Wild are playing the Lightning, I'll be there.
Wait, I thought you told them that you couldn't go if they're in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, if they're playing Tampa Bay, then it's even better. I can check off all the boxes: work, family, fun.
Cancel the trip right now.
all the fun stuff. Cancel. Yeah, I know.
Cancel the trip right
I know.
now,
You.
okay?
Yeah, I know. A trip 7 months out from
Cancel
now.
the trip.
Cancel the trip
Cancel the
right
trip
now.
and wave the damn flag.
to the Stanley Cup Finals. I wish I had the flag. Oh, wait.
Where's the bear claw?
Wait.
Get the claw.
You got the bear claw?
I
Get
got
the wild
the claw.
claw.
I got the claw. Hold on. I got the
The
claw.
wild claw. Wave the claw. That's right.
Hello. I'm the Wild Claw.
Check out Judd's Hockey Show. You can find last night's episode recapping the game against the Vegas Golden Knights. You can find Judd's Hockey Show multiple days a week, part of the Mackey and Judd podcast. Also, if you just want Judd's Hockey Show, you can find that as a separate podcast feed. And please click subscribe on the Score North YouTube channel if that's where you're hanging out with us. And click the like button. Help spread the word about the show. All right, tomorrow, who gets it, who doesn't? It's Vikings-Bears week on Purple Daily all week long, so check us out there, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Mackey and Judd.